space to destroy things never means at the mayor's residence. It never means in the nice, probably 4 or 5 acre property she has. It's always someone else's business. And keep in mind, Dana, as well, I know a topic extremely important to your heart. You know, Baltimore has some of the strictest gun control regulations around. So now, not only is the mayor giving people space to, quote, destroy your business, now you're not even able to defend yourself, given your own Second Amendment rights. This is just outrageous. I mean, a total failure.
So like with the Los Angeles riots, you wouldn't even be able to see people trying to protect their businesses, or like how they did in Ferguson when they stood in front of, you had, business owners the ones who stood in front of their businesses with firearms, those were the only businesses that weren't looted in the area. So you're saying that in Baltimore they couldn't even do that?
No, they can't do that. And the irony here is there are a lot of really good people in Baltimore right now who are just horrified by this. Matter of fact, I'm in my home Skyping with you. I just had a man in my home, a contractor who is from Baltimore, grew up there, and we were watching the news on it, the local news, and he was astounded. He was horrified. He could not believe that these knuckleheads are allowed to they're given space to destroy. They should be given space in a jail cell. I mean, the very idea of a constitutional republic and a representative democracy is that the police powers and our military are here to provide safety and security for people, not to forfeit that right before the game's even started. Oh yeah, go ahead and destroy. Don't worry about it. This is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I get the questions. I don't see how any of that stuff is going to do anything to bring any justice in the situation of Freddie Gray. I mean, Dan, when I look at this case, I have questions. When I look at the video, I have questions. When I hear, why didn't this guy get medical treatment sooner? Why wasn't he taken to the hospital? I mean, I think those are all legitimate questions. And as I've said before, as with any group of people, you have some who aren't worthy of the badge. You have some that, and I don't know if this is a case or not, but I think it does bear investigation. But that's not going to get it.
Right. Dana, and you're making a mistake here. You're being reasonable. You just said no, because you can't be reasonable with it. Can we get the facts on this first? Every good libertarian, conservative, Republican I know says, listen, I'll support the cops, but when the cops are wrong, the cops are wrong. It should be treated like anybody else. The criminal justice system should not provide any buffer for police officers who violate the law. Libertarians have been all over this issue, but we don't know yet. If you're absolutely right, if the cops intentionally hurt this man, and we do not know that, right, they should be prosecuted. But can we at least take a breath and find out what happened and let the process work out before we destroy the city of Baltimore?
Yeah, so right. And I'm so glad that you're on with me today, because Maryland, this is your home state. This is where you are. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Democrat Mayor Martin O'Malley, who I know is sort of like the plan C, I think, for Democrats going into 2016. From what I understand, was it like 12 or 15 years ago when he was mayor of Baltimore, he kind of did in the same way of what New York City's barely elected city council did with the Lucy cigarette laws and law enforcement engagement and the situation with Eric Garner, where they wanted more aggressive police monitoring of certain offenses that really didn't require that level of aggression or that level of engagement. And from what I have read, Martin O'Malley kind of championed some of those policies while he was mayor, and it has remained unchanged because, you kind of have a party monopoly there. What do you know about that? Is that accurate? Does that have to do with this as well?
Yeah, you read right. It was the cops as revenue generators model. This model's a complete failure. This isn't the broken windows model. That's different. The broken windows model is if you catch a guy jumping a turnstile, you arrest him for jumping a turnstile, because if he was going to go on the subway to rob someone, he probably wasn't going to pay the fare, right? That's different. The broken windows models had some success. The cops as revenue generator models, I know from your, St. Louis and Missouri, this in Ferguson, this was a disaster. You want to talk about sowing mistrust in the community. Have the cops go out, start ticketing people for riding a bicycle on the sidewalk, for having a broken taillight twice. I mean, listen, we should be a society of law and order, but really using the cops to generate this pool of government funds rather than to protect and serve. The cops don't like it. The community hates it. And yes, I think the model needs a very serious reevaluation. The Lucy cigarettes thing being a tragic example of it.